The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BT ZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And today on the podcast, it is the Gameday Preview Podcast, and it's round 6 of the NRL. And this week, Parramatta are playing the North Queensland Cowboys at Commbank Stadium at 5:30 on Saturday afternoon, the 13th. And joining me for the fan preview, the game day preview, is Sam from Wobblin Jaw Sports. How you going, Sam?
Howdy there, Troy. Paracave Podcast, making my debut. I'm really excited to join you tonight. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm keen to talk some footy with you.
Absolutely. And listeners and viewers, you can find Wobblin Jaw Sports on YouTube, Instagram, and also we said X, but it's Twitter to us that we know what it is, but you give him a follow as well. First of all, how long have you been supporting the Cowboys for, and how did you get into supporting the Cowboys?
Oh, man, dangerous question. I could be here all night, man.
That's all good.
Yeah, so I am a lifelong North Queensland Cowboys fan for as long as I can remember. I remember seeing the logo on the old Sports Tonight episodes and seeing the colours.
Yeah, okay.
I know, that's a throwback. Yeah. And I just thought that was the coolest logo, the coolest colours. And then come 2004, when things really ratcheted up with Matt Bowen and Shane Tronk and Steve Southern, I really did, it's all solidified that I really did love supporting the Cowboys. And ever since then, it's just gone on to be bigger and better. Not just me love for it, but the club as a whole as well.
So was it as simple as just seeing the logo and then picking that as your team?
It was as simple as that. Back when I was approximately 6 years old or thereabouts. That just it's very basic, but it's definitely evolved.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you mentioned a couple of players there. Is there any others that have been your favourite players from over the years at the Cowboys?
Honestly, those would be the favourite players that really got me concreted with the Cowboys. Shane Tree Tronk and Steve Bluey Southern. Oh man, just loved him back in the day. But of course, Matt Bowen, club legend. And then you look into Matt Scott and Kane Lynette into the 2010s thereabouts. I really liked Kane Lynette and Antonio Winterstein as well. But I love just about every bloody Cowboy, just about.
Yeah, that's it. Some great names there. And just over the weekend, Kyle Feldt broke the all-time try-scoring record. Obviously, the grand final try in 2015 would be right up there as one of your favourite tries of his. But is there any others that stand out of Kyle's?
Yeah, there's an underrated one back, I think it was 2014, I tend to suggest, where they were playing out at Penrith, and I think there was a grubber kick that was put through by Thurston or Morgan, and Kyle Feldt from 20-30 metres out just absolutely rocketed onto this grubber kick and scored in the corner out there at Bluebet Stadium that day. But then there was another game against, no, not another one, there was the games in the 2017 final series where he scored that try against your Mub. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that note up.
Look,
sorry,
that's
Troy.
okay. That's okay. Is that
was an amazing
semi-final,
put down.
wasn't it?
It was a really cool semi-final. It was, but that put down in that semi-final particularly was a standout, and then the one week later in the prelim against Easts was a standout as well. But yeah, man, Kyle Feldt, whilst he's still got the X factor, I think his work rate over the past 2 months, possibly 3 years now, has improved. He is really, really important for us coming out of trouble these days.
Now, what about any memories of Parramatta versus Cowboys games? Is there any that stand out in the memory bank. I am thinking there may be one that you may say.
Yeah, for sure. So we just touched on one, the 2017 semi-final. There's also the game. Oh, I can't remember what it was, but I think we beat Parramatta 40-26 in the year 2011 or 12.
Okay.
Up in Townsville. That was a rip snorting affair, for sure. But of course, it just seems like I wouldn't say that Parramatta and Cowboys have a rivalry, but we tend to play some big games against each other. There's a famous one as well that came about in 2011 where your mob beat us 22-20 in round 3 or 4. And I think we were both undefeated at the time. And I think at the time when the game played, it was the biggest viewership numbers in Fox Sports or Fox League's history. So that was a huge win and for both clubs in that aspect. But I think you might be referring to the 2005 preliminary final, mate.
No, I wasn't actually.
No?
But if you want to
which
talk,
one?
If you want to talk about that one, go ahead.
I remember being at a mate's house. It was a rainy day down in Canberra. I used to live in Canberra. And I vividly remember, even though the other two boys that I was mates with at the time, they weren't Cowboys fans per se, but they really got behind the upset that happened. So that was a very memorable day.
Yeah,
but what game are you talking about?
Well, that day, or that year, everyone was expecting Parramatta St George grand final, and of course the Tigers and the Cowboys won on the Saturday and on the Sunday, and I think Hindy was out of that game that we lost 29-0. Minor premiers, and a lot of the players that I've spoken to who played in that game for Parramatta said that they probably think that might have been a better opportunity to win the competition than 2001, so definitely a missed opportunity. But the game I'm talking about, it was at Parramatta Stadium, and I was lucky enough to play in a charity touch football game before the game on the field against some fans and with some Parramatta legends, Luke Burt, Nathan Kalis, Mickey Vella. It was raising money for the Parramatta Mission. So we played a touch football game there, so I was really excited about that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the game was coming on as well. It was the game, I think it was 2015. Gavin Cooper, 3 tries in 11 minutes or something ridiculous like that, and overran us and overtook us and won the game. So that was the game that I was thinking of.
Fantastic memories you've just brought up there, Paracave podcast. Fantastic
well, for you
memories.
anyway, but with the rugby league, but they were good memories for me playing in that touch football game, but
That's awesome.
more for you with the game and Gavin Cooper scoring 3 tries in, it was ridiculous, 8 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that, and they were all close to the line as well. They weren't big long range efforts; they were all close to the line.
And then it just stopped scoring for like the last 15, 20 minutes of that game. And that was the final scoreline in the end sort of a thing. But I remember Semi Radradra running, I think it was the full length of the field. Maybe it was 80 metres, but it was a massive try. And he backed it up as well. I think he got knocked down on his own 20-metre line or 30-metre line. And then Para eventually got down to the Cowboys' 20-metre line. And in comes Semi Radradra. I think that's how the try was ended up scored. So, and at that point, Pertec Stadium was going absolutely ballistic.
Yeah, that's it. The other one that springs to mind for me anyway was in 2018, JT's last home game at...
oh, man.
What would it have been called then? Dairy Farmers?
1-300
Smiles, okay. So,
just call it Dairy Farmers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, I was lucky enough to get up there for that game.
True.
You smashed us that day anyway, so... it was a long trip for a loss, but the experience of ticking another football ground off the list.
Yeah, no, I myself got up there the year after 2019, but I got up there to see a loss to the West Tigers and Golden Point extra time in 2019. But I'm very bloody happy that I got to say that I ventured up to the old Dairy Farmers Stadium before it was knocked down only 6 months later.
Yeah, no, I haven't got up to the new one yet, but it certainly looks like a cracker of a stadium. So maybe one day I'll get up there. Who of the current Cowboys are your favourite players?
I still have Taumalolo high up there on my list. I am one of those defenders of Taumalolo that he's done so much work for us in his career so far that over the past 2 years, yes, he has been injury riddled, but like, give the bloke a break, hey? Like, fair income. He's only been going at the highest octave, highest speed for a decade plus now. So I'm a huge backer of Taumalolo, but the new blood, Tom Dearden coming in, and it only evolved after that try-saving tackle against Brisbane. Just one of the great, wasn't it? It was just one of the great tackles, eh?
Oh, absolutely. People sort of compared it to Scott Sattler's tackle in the grand final, but that one was just as good. I mean, there was only 2 points on the line. There wasn't a premiership on the line, but that one was just as good. I mean, for all money, you would have thought Cobbo was going to get there.
Absolutely. And the other player at the moment that's really, I'll say two more, Reece Robson, I'm really appreciating his work out at dummy half. And then big Kiwi international Griffin Neame. I think that we need to lock him up ASAP. I don't know when his contract is up, but Griffin Neame is just improving game by game. And he is right now the player to overtake Taumalolo when it comes to most running meters for a prop, or for just one of our forwards anyway, man. So I really like the work Griffin Neame is getting into this year so far.
Yeah, and obviously your fullback, Scott Drinkwater, he's touted as a possible Origin player, and a lot of people tipped him as maybe a Dally M winner of the year later on this year, but he certainly had a cracker of a game last week.
Oh, he certainly did. Yeah, it's been a rocks and diamonds start, I respectfully say, to Drinkwater, but I think that goes for the entire team in 2024. But yeah, Drinkwater, his first couple of years coincided with the Cowboys being in the bottom four for multiple seasons in a row. And just like him, it seems like our form has gone up with Drinkwater, sort of a thing. But yeah, no, I've definitely become a fan of Drinkwater.
Well, speaking about the season, how do you think that the Cowboys season has gone so far, 5 rounds in?
Oh, Paracave podcast, it has been rocks, diamonds, Jackal Hyde, a roller coaster. It certainly has. The game against the Dolphins, sure, we did spank them in the end, but we conceded soft tries inside that first half particularly to them. So I thought, right, that's an area of improvement. And since then, I wouldn't say that it has improved defensively, our goal line defense. But in saying that, I think we do, if not we're second, but I think we do have the best attack after the first 5 rounds of the competition, which is fantastic. And that coincides, I guess, with new assistant coach James Maloney. And he's definitely, I feel like it's a little bit more positive. While the defense is something that really does need to be edited, I do think they're a little bit more positive with the ball, and I think they're offloading more than they have at any other stage throughout the past 3 seasons, I'd say.
That's a little bit like Parramatta. They have a good offload game. It can be a bit stressful at times when they pop the offload, and it didn't quite go too well. But Parramatta are known for their offload game. And look, you mentioned their defence there. I think I heard a stat the other day. I think it was 24 points on average that they're leaking in defence. So their only good thing is that, as you said, they can score more points. So that is the good thing, obviously. But that must be a concern, though. The 24 points leaking in defence going into this game. Parramatta, they probably haven't been, you say rocks and diamonds for the Cowboys. I think we might be, we were probably maybe not quite diamonds at the start of the year, but We got a win against Canterbury, lost against Penrith, although we led them into half-time. A comeback win against Manly, and then the last 2 weeks have just been atrocious, like embarrassing. A loss to the Tigers. Credit to the Tigers, they stand up in Easter Monday games, and they got that victory. And then just last week against Canberra, absolutely hammered down there in Canberra. So if the Cowboys are rocks and diamonds, I don't know what we are. We might be just rocks.
No, I think you got to. I think you definitely have had. I think you guys have produced diamonds at times throughout this season. That game against Manly, while there were a few drop balls from both sides, I do think that was still a high quality affair. And the bounce back that you guys had to produce, I think you guys were down 12 or 16-0 after the first 20 minutes or thereabouts.
Yeah.
For you guys to fight back against Manly, who were red hot at the time, I think that's a diamond that you can take out of this season so far. I do think that Junior Polo coming off the bench as well has been the play that you should probably continue to do, in my opinion. I don't think you did it against the West Tigers, or I don't think you did it against the Raiders. I think you started both of them. I think there was one game.
Yeah, I think he started against the Tigers, and I think it went back to the bench last week against the Raiders.
Yeah. So I'd really like the implementation of that from Coach Brad Arthur. But yeah, I would say that while there have been a few diamonds, I would say there's probably more rock for the Parramatta Eels. But then again, I mean, you have been punched in the face by a few massive injuries to start the year, man.
Yeah, definitely. One of those players comes back this week, Bryce Cartwright. But yeah, the big one, Mitchell Moses, with his fractured foot. Probably another 6 to 8 weeks out. So it's going to be a tough time for Parramatta indeed. Thankfully, there's a bye in between that time. But yeah, definitely injuries is a big part of this campaign to try and win the comp. Well, let's get to the game on Saturday at 5:30 at Commbank Stadium. And how do you think it's going to unfold? We see, as you said, the Cowboys, they can probably sometimes be a bit of slow starters and then get back into the game by scoring tries. How do you think this one's going to roll?
Oh, man, this is a very vital part of our season. We've now got back-to-back away games in Parramatta, and then next week we're in Cronulla, followed by a game against Penrith. This is a very vital 3 weeks for the North Queensland Cowboys. I think this game is going to be a bit of a shootout. With Bryce Cartwright coming back, that does make me a little bit nervous. I can't quite pinpoint who he would be marking up on. I think maybe Kulikefu, Fenefuiaki. Bryce Cartwright, with his offloading game and his form over the past 18 months alone, does make me nervous. I think the Cowboys might have a bit of trouble restricting him. Dejan Arce, I think we'll get into the team list. Sorry for if I've jumped the gun there.
But go right ahead. All good. Yeah, all good.
Dejan Arce is at halfback, which pushes Dylan Brown to the 5'8" slot, if I'm not mistaken there. So I think that is the correct call. I think young Blaise Talangi, while he has shown a bit of diamond himself, I do think that maybe he does need to go back and just play a bit more New South Wales Cup. So I do think the addition of Arce is a positive one. But just I am so concerned about our defence at the moment that if the Parramatta Eels show up and play the way that they always do at Commbank Stadium, it's kind of graphic how different the away Parramatta Eels team is and how graphic the home Parramatta Eels side are. Yeah. They are truly a home side. Parramatta Eels are. They're so different when they're at home. So yeah, I am concerned about this game. This is definitely not a gimme in any way, shape or form.
You mentioned Bryce Cartwright there with his offload game. Who else in the Parramatta side do you think could be a potential threat to the Cowboys?
Well, Jermaine Hopgood versus Ruben Cotter is a one-on-one matchup. It's such a good battle. Like, legit, maybe the best lock matchup. Or I know that you've got Isaiah Yeo and Cameron Murray. Maybe I got a little bit excited there, but still. Jermaine Hopgood versus Cotter is maybe worth the price of admission alone. So Hopgood, he's going to toil big time as well. And then I think Kelma Tuolangi, I would suggest that he is going to give us some massive headaches when he comes on. I know he's had some games where he's been good, some games where he hasn't been able to get it quite into the game. But I think he can make a huge impact when he comes off the bench as well. And then looking over into the back line, of course, your captain, Clint Gutherson. I'm not Paracave podcast. I'm not a hater of Clint Gutherson. I think he has been your best for maybe 3 seasons in a row now, possibly more. I so respect and appreciate the work that he puts in every single week, and sometimes it doesn't work out for him, but that's just footy. But legitimately, I think Clint Gutherson is an absolutely fantastic captain and player. And to be perfectly honest with you, man, I'm kind of bloody happy that Mike Acevo is not playing this weekend, just quietly.
Well, I think Parramatta fans just quietly are happy too that he's not playing this week as well, due to his form in his comeback games. Personally, I didn't think he should come back against the Tigers after his suspension. I thought he should have played some New South Wales Cup to earn his spot back, because I thought, discipline cost us last year, and obviously discipline in the trial game got him a suspension. So that's what I think anyway. But you mentioned Jermaine Hopgood there and Ruben Cotter. That's going to be a cracker of a battle. Do you think that could possibly? I mean, we're a bit out from Origin, but do you think that could be a pre-teaser, I guess, to Origin, and who's going to get that lock spot?
That's a good question, mate, because it is about that time where Origin conversations do become rather fair dinkum, don't they? We've gone through the first 5 weeks, and I guess the lazy old eye does turn to State of Origin. I wouldn't be surprised if both actually make Billy Slater's team, to be perfectly honest. And if I would have to fall down on one side of the coin as to who, let's say, one of these two gentlemen do win the starting lock position, I think at the moment, Ruben Cotter has got his nose in front, but that's not to say Hopgood has been bad in 2024 so far. He has been rather solid for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ruben will be an automatic anyway. The Queenslanders, they like to pick and stick, so he got the Wally Lewis medal last year, was it?
Correct.
Yeah, so Queensland will be mad not to pick him, but maybe Jermaine might get a bench spot. For me, I think the dangers for Parramatta are probably our edge defence. We have a history of coming in and leaving our edges vulnerable. Val Holmes, he could be pretty dangerous in that aspect. And look, I like the look of Tom Chester as well. What can you tell us about him?
Oh, mate, I was just looking at Tom Chester. Great minds think alike. And I was just thinking who he might be lining up on. So I think it will be Felt and Chester versus Mr. Simonson. And I think it would be Morgan Harper out there on that left edge defensively for you guys this Saturday arvo. But Tom Chester is he's like I don't want to disrespect him by saying it, but he's like an improved version of Jake Granville. Okay. Like, he's just got this utility value to him where he can slot in at hooker at a pinch, but I think his position is at fullback. So I know that Todd Payton has been working him very, very hard to try and get comfortable with the centre position and at a pinch the hooker role as well. But this should be interesting. The old bull Morgan Harper, or I guess you could say old bull in comparison to Tom Chester. Tom Chester, I think he made his presence known in the, I want to say, 2022 trials, and then he's made his debut, and I think at times last season he was our best player for maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and that was at fullback when Drinkwater was suspended. So he's a toiler as well. He's not just this centre fullback player that can off the cuff do some whimsical things per se. He's actually a bit of a bulldog sort of a player. He's a pit bull player. So yeah, he'll be non-fluxed with the challenge of taking on Morgan Harper, who I think has been okay in 2024. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think Simonson at times as well has been rather decent for you guys too. So yeah, I'm cool with Tom Chester being in the centre position. And before I go on, you've got Semi Valame and Viliami Vilea as well for us. So we've got some depth in the centres. And so it's just a notch to the belt of Tom Chester, who's got the nod ahead of both of those more notable winger centre players.
So obviously this is a massive opportunity for Tom to cement that spot for the year with, unfortunately, Zach Laybutt out for the season with the ACL from last week.
Oh, it certainly is. And I'm speedy recovery to Zach Laybutt as well. He's got so much class about him. And, they say that he could have been one of the breakout stars of 2024. I think in the first game alone, the first round alone, he broke out as a star. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right that he could break out, Tom Chester, and solidify his spot in the 1-17 for the rest of the year. Just before I go on, I'd like to talk about on my channel some history between the two sides whenever I do a preview. So This will be the 48th edition of Parramatta versus North Queensland. And Parramatta, they have the overall head-to-head record at 24-22 with one draw. This will be North Queensland's third match at Commbank Stadium. We are 0-2 so far in our trips down to Commbank Stadium. And it has been more so the Eels in recent times. Eels, they have won 4 of the past 6 matches against the North Queensland Cowboys. And the Cowboys have not defeated Parramatta in Sydney since that 2017 semi-final. But if you want to talk about regular season competition, Cowboys haven't beaten Eels in regular season since 2015. And just a stat that goes... Yeah, it's just a stat that goes in the way of Parramatta as well. You guys are actually completing well. You're inside the top 4. I think you're third for best set completionists in the competition, which is a good notch to have on the belt. Whereas the Cowboys, yeah, sure, their attack is going buck wild at the moment, but we are in the bottom 3 for set completions at the moment. We've got a lot of errors to our game. So if there's one aspect that really has me concerned beside our defence is that if that sort of form line continues where Parramatta complete and the Cowboys don't complete and the Cowboys still leak 3 or 4 tries this weekend, I mean, that sets it up for you guys beautifully to get back on track.
Yeah, no, some great stats there. And speaking of that, I guess then, what are your thoughts on how many Cowboy supporters are going to turn up to Commbank Stadium? Because I think, by the sounds of that, that's what they need. They need some support there. I know they've got they got a lot of supporters everywhere, and especially in Sydney as well. I think what are they called? The North Queensland.
The Cowboys Stampede.
Yeah, that's it. So that they tend to travel around. So, how much of the crowd do you think will be Cowboys based? Do you think?
I would say it might be a little bit generous, but 15% maybe. I'd say maybe 3,000 could rock up to the Cowboys this Saturday.
Yeah. Well, another little thing that's probably against the Cowboys as well is that it's Old Boys Day at Parramatta, so there's going to be a lot of...
You're joking!
Old boys there, legends of Parramatta there, so they'll be doing a lap of honour before the game, and so they'll be there, so plenty of blue and gold legends there, so that'll be great to see. Okay, so here we go into the guessing competition. We'll start off with a first try scorer. Who do you think could be the first try scorer, either from Parramatta or the Cowboys?
With all due respect and love to my team, I do think Parramatta are going to start hot after they got beaten well by the Raiders last weekend. They won't be impressed by that. They'll want to rectify it, especially now on Old Boys Day. And by the way, just before I do reveal that, I'm just looking at the Parramatta weather for this Saturday.
Okay, yep.
And at the moment, when you think about what happened in round number 4 for Scott Drinkwater on a rainy night, it's actually forecast to rain this Saturday.
Well, that's no good.
Well, it's no good for Scott Drinkwater if that sort of friggin' form continues in the rain. Friggin' hell.
I don't know what weather conditions you're looking at, but I've got 12 to 24 and sunny on Saturday at the moment. So
I've got 22 degrees and showers.
Okay.
On that day, on the Saturday.
We'll have to check it closer to the day.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, the weather, it's still a bloody half a friggin' week away sort of thing. First try scorer, I would actually lean, the punter in me leans towards the Parramatta Eels on this occasion. And just looking at the team list now, what am I feeling? I don't want to go towards Bryce Cartwright because I've been talking about him too much. So I think... actually, no, Dylan Brown is playing halfback and it is RC.
I'm not 100% sure though. Look, they have been named there.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll swap on the field and whether Dylan will go back to 5'8" and RC play halfback. I'm not too sure. They may swap around on the field, but they have been named there.
All right, I'm going to go Will Penasini. I'm going to go Will Penasini as the first-time try scorer this weekend.
Okay, yeah, nice. I like Will. So much so I usually pick him every week, but that's just a little bit of a joke that I've had. Well, yeah, a bit of a joke that I've had with fans from back in the day when Brad Takarangi played, and used to pick him as a first try scorer every week. I think he got it a couple of times, but not too many. But I don't know what it was about him. I think it was just him in his height and them kicking the ball over to the centre position and him catching it. But more than not, it was him tapping it back. So, Will was a very good choice, and I usually do go Will. So look, I'm gonna have to change I'll change mine because I can't agree with you. I've got to go someone different. Look, I'll go Sean Russell as a first try scorer. I think he's been pretty solid for us this year. He's bulked up a little bit. Look, hasn't set the world on fire, but it's consistently, I think, anyway, just doing his job, playing a bit more football this year. Obviously, 2022 had the rib injury that he suffered against the Titans. So, I'll go Sean Russell. How do you think there's going to be a lot of points in this game? We know that the Cowboys can score a lot of points. Parramatta, they're pretty average on scoring points, only 8 last week. I think they got 28 against Manly. They got about 20-something against Canterbury. 18, I think, against Penrith. So how do you think this game's going to score?
With all due respect to young Blaze Talangi, I think Dejan Arce being in, whether it be 5'8" or halfback come game day, he gives you guys a better kicking option. Watching Arce when he was a North Queenslander back in the year 2020 or so, he's got himself a rather large boot on him. So if you guys are in trouble, he can kick you guys out of trouble. Obviously not maybe as efficiently as Moses, but he's still got a good kicking game on him, Arce. I think this will be pretty close, actually. Again, I really do take into account that Eels are at home and that they are a different beast at Commbank Stadium. I think there will be plenty of points in this one.
Have you got a score prediction at all?
Yeah, I think the Eels. Look, I'm sorry to be biased, but I am going to tip the Cowboys.
Yeah, no,
why the hell am I sorry? Why am I sorry?
Yeah,
no, go Cowboys.
No, you got to follow your team. Follow your team.
I'm going to go Cowboys. Just the 1 to 12. I know they only tend to win 13 plus, or they've only not won 13 plus on one occasion. But I am going to go Cowboys 1 to 12 in this game. Valentine Holmes is a straight shooter when it comes to conversions. He's a pretty good
goal kicker.
So I'm going to go something akin to 28 points to 20. something to that nature. I think Eels are a chance of getting 20 points, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go 28-20 to the Cowboys this Saturday.
Okay, yeah, nice. I talking on the Talking Para podcast last night, I said it was going to be 20 all, and then a bold prediction that Morgan Harper will score the winning try. So 24-20, I think it'll be. With Mitchell Moses out, look, Clint Gutherson is a good goal kicker. The strange thing about it is last week when we had a no try, he kicked it in anger from the sideline, and then he missed his next 2 conversions. So I don't know how that works, but he is a good goal kicker. Obviously, he missed that one against the Tigers to win the game, but Mitchell is a really good goal kicker. So I think we obviously miss his kicking game in general play, but we also miss his goal kicking as well. So yeah, 24-20, and a Morgan Harper try to win the game.
Rude.
Well, I think we bounce back. Back, and I think it's going to be only just. So that's what I think anyway. Are you going to be doing a live stream? Because I know you do live streams of games. Are you going to be live streaming this game?
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. No, I think I'm actually working that day. Okay. So, yeah, I'll be shutting down all my social medias by the time that before I get home. So, yeah, no, unfortunately, I won't be. Also, here's another little thing for you before I go. Scott Drinkwater. It's his 100th first grade game. So he is celebrating a milestone, and he might get up, actually.
Yes, milestone games are obviously really important to players, and their teammates often step up and want them to win that game. I mean, you had Jake Granville last week win his 200th Cowboys game. So... yeah, milestone games are really important to obviously the player, but also the teammates to try and get them the win. So they've got that on their side.
Absolutely. Come on, Drinkwater. Get another 6 points this Saturday night, please.
Yes, well, that'll be interesting because I don't know how Dylan Brown got 1 point from last week. But anyway, Sam from Wobblin Jaw Sports, thank you very much for joining me for this game day preview. And where can listeners and viewers find your stuff? Yeah.
Mate, I'm genuinely so ecstatic that you've asked me to come on and talk with you on the Paracave podcast. It's genuinely like a pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I love talking to fans of other clubs because that's what rugby league's all about, isn't it?
Bloody oath. Yeah, absolutely. So people can find me on the old X. Jesus, that's strange to say still, isn't it? I've got Instagram as well. That's going well. And then I've got my YouTube channel. So if you're interested to hear another perspective on rugby league with a massive dose of North Queensland flavour to it, please come out and check out Wobblin Jaw Sports.
Yeah, so listeners, please do that. And maybe a little bit later on in the year, we'll do a full length episode and chat about your support of rugby league and also the Cowboys as well.
Sure, that'd be absolutely sensational. Thank you.
No worries. Enjoy the game on the weekend. Well, the replay anyway.
Here's to a good game. Not too much luck to you, but here's to a good game, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm going to sign it off by saying go Para.
Go Cowboys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.